Hello and welcome everybody to a Legacy video. A while ago, I wanted to have some fun and I played a league with Amulet Titan in Legacy. It ended up going better than expected, so I actually started working in the deck a little bit more seriously. And I did manage to get a 5-0, a nice little trophy, putting the deck a little bit on the map for a second there, because other people actually followed my lead and started getting some random 5-0s with the deck, which I thought was hilarious. So I haven't tried this in a while, so I wanted to give it another shot and try a couple of new ideas that I haven't actually had the time to try in the deck. So first of all, we're going to be playing 4 copies of Cavern of Souls. This card is absolutely a must. Right now in Legacy, the two main decks, as usual, Force of Will decks, right? Like Force of Will and Daze decks being the best in the format basically forever means that Cavern of Souls is one of the best cards that you can have against them, particularly when your entire game plan revolves around resolving 6 mana 6/6s, right? So because of that, we're going to be playing the full playset of Cavern of Souls. One thing you'll notice is that I'm playing a singleton copy of Tolaria West, and this is like a little idea. So we have the growth chambers and we have the drops that we can use for mana, of course, and then we can, by having the singleton Tolaria West and a singleton Summoner's Pact, this means that we can chain Titans. At least we can chain 2 Titans. So having access to that random angle of attack can be an interesting proposition, so I wanted to give it a shot. It may just simply be a little bit too slow, a little bit too clunky, so it may not even be worth playing, but I still wanted to give it a shot and see how it plays out. We're also playing, some Dryads, so that also means, of course, that we're playing a singleton copy of Valakut. We're also playing Vesuva. Endurance, Ramadep Excavator, Uro are sort of your tutor targets, and then we have access to Green Sun Sineth. Because we're playing Sineth, obviously we're playing a singleton copy of Dread Arrow, because this basically go together. We're also playing, of course, 4 copies of Amulet of Vigor, and the card that makes this even remotely close to possible, which is Urza's Saga, 4 copies as well. The best card in the deck, however, bar none, is Exploration, and everybody who tells you differently doesn't really understand how the deck works, or how the Legacy format works, I guess. Exploration is the best card in the deck by so much, and your turn 1 Exploration draws work so much better than any of your other draws. So Exploration is an absolutely fantastic card. The only problem is that you want to be playing so many utility lands, and so many of them just have for colorless, like Cavern or Saga, so it can be a little bit challenging to Exploration on 1. We do have, last I counted, I think we had 9 turn 1 green sources, which is not that many, and also considering the fact that we have Zenith that we want to cast on turn 1 to get Dread Arrow, right? So that's like a little bit of tension happening there. The good thing, however, is that we have access to 3 copies of Once Upon a Time, which can turn into turn 1 green sources if that is exactly what we want. But yeah, I did cut the 4th copy of Once Upon a Time for the Summoner's Pact. It's the best thing that I could think of, really, because I think that we definitely want 4 copies, or like we want all the other cards that we have going on here. Endurance, because there's like graveyard decks and stuff like that, and it's also fantastic against the fair decks as well. And Uro, because I feel like having a way to bridge the gap towards our late game is extremely important, and Uro is the best way to do so. So I think that the 2 copies of Uro are a necessity. But I think that, besides that, like if you wanted to ignore that part, you could just cut an Uro maybe for the 4th copy of Once Upon or. But the main deck is very similar to the modern version, with the exception that we have access to Field of the Dead, of course, and we have access to Caracas. You're going to notice that I am playing 1 copy of Handwear Battlements. This is as a way to haste our Primeval Titan, or like even an Uro or whatever in the late game. So the haste land of choice is Handwear Battlements, because it has a much lower requirement from your deck building, and we don't need to be playing Boros Garrison or Crumbling Vestige or any of that stuff. We can just use Gruul Turf or like Valakut in order to haste our threats. So that's definitely pretty nice. I don't think it's worth including the Taiga, because I think that being able to cast Uro with 2 drop is going to matter way more than having to haste. So because we have, the Valakut and 2 Gruul Turfs, I think that we have enough red sources, since this is mostly going to happen when we're already fetching off the Titan. So we're going to get our pick there, So in the sideboard, we have some Mindbreak traps against combo, Force of Vigor against graveyard decks, which are actually quite good right now. Couple of copies of Endurance, as I was saying earlier. This card is absolutely fantastic in Legacy, so we're playing the full 4 copies in the 75. 3 Copper Flowers. This is against all of the Wasteland decks, which just do happen to be blue decks more often than not, so that's nice. Pitting Needle against combo decks or against stuff like the Artifact decks, Cardigan Creator, Planeswalker decks. And then we have some land tutor targets. We have a Wasteland against, you know, decks where Wasteland is good, obviously. Tabernacle against elves and decks of that kind, you know, like Mentor decks or whatever. Maze of Ith is mostly there for Murktide. We're gonna see if it works out. But I did find when playing against Delver, I did find myself in a situation where I needed Titan to help me stabilize against flyers, and I just didn't really have a way to do so. So being able to stabilize against the Murktide or against the Delver, DRC, whatever, having access to a single 2 copy of Maze of Ith can be a game changer there. And finally, a second copy of Field of Dead, because there are some pretty good control decks right now in the format and mid-range decks as well. So having access to an extra field can be pretty good. I do think, however, that this is by a significant margin the worst card in my sideboard. So I wouldn't be too upset, you know, if somebody were to, you know, look at the deck and just cut this for something else like that. That would actually make sense to me. The rest of the sideboard seems to be pretty, I don't want to say non-negotiable, because like everything's negotiable, right? But pretty good. Let's just use the word good. So that's a pretty reasonable word to use there. However, I think that, yeah, well, let's just see how this works out. No, however, at all. We're just gonna jump into a league. However, here we go. Before doing so, let me ask you that if you're enjoying the content, you can, of course, support the stream or the content just by hitting that like and subscribe button, of course. And if you're interested in actually supporting the content that I make, you can look at different options like donations, where if you make a donation of $20 or more, I will play any list of your choosing on a video or live on stream. Or you can support me through Patreon or by booking coaching sessions. So if that's anything that you may be interested in, you can find all the information you need in the description of the video down below. Without further ado, let's see if we can do some 5-0ing with Amulet Titan in Legacy. Okay, here we go, run number 1. We have a great hand, keep it. So this hand makes a bunch of mana pretty quickly, which is nice. We also have Once Upon a Time, so we can potentially find a threat. And we have Cavern to make it uncounterable. That's a prime time. I think I'm going to pick the prime time here. We can go turn 1 drop into Exploration. And this, we're going to play Cruel Turf. Yep, bounce the turf. Even if my opponent does have Wasteland, we can still like Zenith for Raminap, which is nice. Ursa Saga into Bubble. So this is 8 cast, I guess. So it's a lot of mana. 3 mana on turn 1. Not bad. Into him. Could just Bojuka Bog there. But then my opponent just gets back Bubble. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think I'm just gonna go get another bounce land. Play that. Exploration. Play Cavern on Giant. And then I'm gonna crack this map to find Semi-Growth Chamber. And then play it bouncing the Cavern, I guess. Not that it really matters, but now we can play an uncounterable Primetime next turn. Primetime gets Bojuka Bog, which is nice. Can't get Wasteland though. I wonder if I should have a Collector Roof in this side, where I think that's one of the considerations that I had back when I first tried the deck, and then I just forgot, which is stupid. But it is what it is. Okay. It's a lot of stuff my opponent's doing over there. Just gonna play a Thought Monitor. Okay. I wonder if they're gonna do some bubble cracking. They are. Interesting. So if we can set up this Green Sun Zenith for Dryad, that probably wins. Ooh, that's good. So let's go. Let's think about this turn, because we can actually just haste here. So land number 1, land number 2. If we haste, we definitely have to exile Shadow Spears from my opponent that's in life. It's probably worth doing though. So we can get a bounce land, and or we can make a bunch of constructs, I guess. Is making constructs better than, probably is, better than hasting. Yeah, I think it is better. So here's Cavern on Giant. Here's an uncounterable Primetime. And we're gonna get Field of the Dead plus Bojuka Bog, I think. this means that we can just chill, and then we're going to Zenith for 3. See what my opponent does. We could even Zenith for 6 to threaten another Primeval Titan, but then we just go get a Dryad, and then we just kill them with Valor. They have perfect information. The thing is, does the perfect information matter? We also have the Boseiju in play, which is nice. I wonder if they're going to get Peeling Needle or Spyglass for... Oh, Aether Spell. There you go. Point up to 7 cards in hand. That's no joke. They could technically like bounce my Primetime and then just recast the Spellbomb and have it just threaten something. We don't have Boseiju, so we can just kill both of these constructs if we want to. The basic island. 2 mana. Sai. Okay. I don't think I'm super worried about the Sai. We can probably work around it. Let's take a nice little chump there. So here we're just attacking, I think. We're threatening to attack at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Means that we can't do everything that I want to do, which is a little bit unfortunate. Can I attack, please? Okay, so what this means now is that we are gonna have to spend this turn recasting the Primeval Titan. 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna make a bunch of constructs and we're just gonna Bojuka Bog again. So I think we're gonna go Bounce Land, just double Bounce Land here. We could just go Vesuva. Let's do Vesuva Growth Chamber. This allows me to make a bunch of zombies. Then play this again, bounce it, play this again, bounce Bojuka Bog, play Bojuka Bog. And here's Raminab. Do you want to counter it? I don't care. So now I think we are a little bit ahead. Because we're going to get an attack trigger with this Primeval Titan. We also have a bunch of mana. And the Emry does nothing. Yeah, just backs it in. Sweet. So I like Knuckle in this matchup. I like Needle. I like the Forces. So let's bring these bad boys in. I'm not sure Endurance does enough. I think as a 1 of 2/4 it's okay, but I don't think I want more than that. Caracas is nice to answer Emry, Sai, all that stuff. Field of the Dead sounds interesting to me. Don't think Ramen Up is where we want to be. I don't think my opponent's going to be, you know, wastelining me or anything. Probably 1 field is okay. Caverns are good. Boseiju is fantastic. Can probably cut 1 Udo. And we could potentially cut an Amulet, but Amulet seems so good in a matchup where my opponent can't interact with it. We'll just cut the Endurance. I may regret that, but I think that it just doesn't do enough, unfortunately. As much as I love the card. Alright, what do we got here? This hand looks terrible. Ship it. This hand looks better, not by too much, but it looks better. Let's keep it. Bottom the redundant Primetime. And we can go turn 1. It's actually not bad for us. So let's get a drop. And I think I'm just Exploration and I'm copying my opponent's Ancient Tomb here. Maybe they force? This is pretty lucky, actually. That's a way to make my hand a lot better. Alright. Force my Exploration. Resolves. Ancient Tomb. Copy that. Zenith for Dismember. Okay, whatever. So we're looking for Bounce Land. What hand did my opponent keep? Doesn't look good. Let's get a basic here. And I think I'm gonna Udo. Green Source. Bounce Land. Force. Okay. It's not the worst. Out of all the bad options, that's not the worst bad option. An opponent continues to do nothing. Once upon a time. Cavernous Souls. Don't mind if I do. Play this out. Your go. It's looking pretty good for the good guys. Ursa Saga. Just not gonna cut it. Not gonna cut it, friend. Cavern on Giant. This smells like a W, folks. Yep. 1 no. Alright, round number 2. Turn 1 Amulet. Turn 2 Endurance. Sure. Alright. Turn 1 Amulet. Your go. Opponent's gonna be like, what the? I thought I signed for the Legacy League. Yes, you did, opponent. You most certainly did. Prismatic Vista into Thoughtseize. That's not a sequence you see every day. So let's go for field here, I think. I really doubt that my opponent's in some form of reanimator, so I'm just gonna not hold up this endurance activation. This endurance hardcast, I guess. Let's play Battlements and say go. If I really need to, I can just pitch this endurance. This is just TES. With Prismatic Vista? Heated Tsugu Consume Soul. I blows up my Amulet. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so my opponent's a believer in the Tsugu. I like that. Oh, Elemental. We want to name Elemental, not Endurance. Okay, so Endurance is just going to be a 3-4 beater. And that's kind of okay, I guess. Excuse me, 3-4 uncounterable beat. Also, I'm kind of afraid of Blood Moon. Probably not main deck, but certainly post board I'm going to be watching out for that. I'm going to do the best of my ability. Here's an Endurance, baby. 3-4 is bigger than a 3-3. I'm going to target you with Endurance. I guess I was 1 minute short of hasting there. So I think I'm going to play an Amulet here just to see what's up. And because I really don't want to play the bounce line because I have field in play. Hull Breacher. Okay. It's important to note that Fatal Push is currently enabled because Vessel does indeed enable Fatal Push. But if my opponent attacks with the Hull Breacher, we get him good. Wow, they do attack. Okay, here's another bad boy. I'll take it. Sure. I'll take my 2 for 1. And a Sudden Edict? Be my guest. Ugh. That sucks. 1 land away from making field tokens. Brutal. Alright. Let's draw that Primeval Titan. I'm gonna take 3 from the Vessel here. Jace is bad. I'm surprised my opponent would plus there. They would brainstorm. Like, they know I have a Cavern in hand. So if I top deck Primeval Titan, we actually just win this game, which we are otherwise never winning. I mean, I guess it's close, but I think that I would have plussed if I were. Alright, take some damage. Dude becomes a 4-4. This thing clocks pretty quickly. Prime time. No prime time. Covenant Giant. Here we go. I mean, starting next turn, we do get access to zombies, but it feels like it's going to be a little bit too slow. Now my opponent's plussing. They gave me 1 window. I'm very surprised they did. So this grows to a 5-5. And my opponent chose to keep on top. This is not a legend, unfortunately. I don't want to haste this. Probably doesn't work. But so this swings for 5 now, down to 8, then 6 next turn, down to 2. So it's a 1-turn clock with a bolt. But still, I can draw a Primeval Titan at any time. And Udo would also be interesting. I guess it wouldn't. Never mind. Udo would not be interesting. It's basically Primeval Titan or bust. Dryad would be interesting. Back to basics. Main deck, back to basics. 1, 2, 3, 6. We can still cast a Primeval Titan. That's a Cavern of Souls. So I'm just gonna name Dryad here. We still get a zombie out of the deal. But now we can... Dryad can potentially do something for me. Realistically, it does not, however. Because it can't kill the Vessel. Okay, there we go. So, Carpet of Flowers looks pretty good. Beating Needle looks fine. I guess it gets eaten by Tsugu, so I guess I don't like it. Bog doesn't do anything. Feel of that is great. I don't think I'm a fan of Endurance. Like, it's okay, as we just saw there. Like, it's just okay, but it's not particularly great. Do we want Forces? I don't think I do. Definitely don't want Amulets. I think I want to cut 1 Saga. And we can do this. Maybe 1 more Saga. 1 more Saga, 1 less Endurance. I don't think I want Force. I think with the 2 Bosages we're fine. Like, we're probably fighting against 1 or 2 back to basics, and that's it. Doesn't seem worth try to fight that. Game 2, what do we got? This hand is very good. Keep it. We got a Cavern, we have an answer to back to basics, we have turn 1 Exploration, Growth Chamber. Let's go Growth Chamber. Seiju, Exploration. Does this resolve? Probably doesn't. Pitching Snapcaster. Snapcaster Mage heated Tsugu in the same deck. Interesting. Exploration? Another Primeval type. Okay, that's not a great draw, but we'll try to manage. So we're probably not playing this Boseiju anymore. Blood Crypt? Why are we playing Blood Crypt? There's no way my opponent's playing Shadows. Just no way. I won't believe it. I won't believe that my opponent's playing Shadows. So we're just gonna say no here. Pass the turn. Blood Crypt. That I did not expect. Color me surprised. We're not playing lands. I'm okay with no lands being played. Brainstorm. Okay. Carpet of Flowers. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is not Titan mana just yet, but we're just gonna play this Vesuva out. Copy him field and say go. Pass again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another Veilful. We're gonna choose to float green. I'm gonna name Giant over here. Subtlety? No subtlety? Good. What are we doing here? Total Area West and Gruul Turf? No, I actually want to start to trigger these things. So should we get Saga? Yeah, let's get Saga. So next turn we're gonna have the Zombie Parade begins. 2 mana for a Sudden Edict. Womp womp. I guess we can haste here, which is nice. Heh. That's weird. It made me choose a target that's random. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're just gonna float red here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Leaving the red mana floating. We're gonna get Gruul Turf plus what's his name? Gruul Turf plus Battlements. Make some Sumbos. Some zombie dudes. Bounce Battlements. Land for turn. Haste. Let's do some swinging. Zwing. Price of Progress would kill me. So that's interesting to think about. There's no one point playing Price of Progress though, right? So let's just have some fun. Yeah. Just get silly. Show me the Price of Progress, opponent. I'll wait. I will wait. No pop. Good. Game 3. This looks fine, I guess. Any changes? Not really. Carpets look really good. Much better than what's his name, than the Amulets. Keeping this hand. I mean, every hand with Carbon of Souls on turn 1 Exploration. I'm just gonna slam it. Put him to 6. Thoughtseize would suck, but ooh, once upon a time. Once upon a time. Do I want to go Saga here? Yeah, actually. So here's Boseiju, here's an Exploration. No force, good. So I kind of want to go Saga now. Let's play Saga. Next turn we can go Cavern named Giant, make a construct, Growth Chamber, bounce Boseiju, which is pretty nice. Cavern named Giant, construct, Boseiju, pass the turn. Next turn we get to do some stuff and some things. Even if opponent has back to basics here, that's not even that bad for me because I just find an amulet off of these Ursa Saga. So just Boseiju the back to basics. There's this Sudden Edict, whatever. Now the good thing is that if they don't play back to basics, they also get owned. What is this? Tsugu? Magus of the Moon. That's a lot better. Yeah, so that I can't beat. As I just talked about earlier, Magus is actually unbeatable for this deck. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should be playing some Dismembers. Maybe this is just modern. Blood Moon, we can beat fairly easily. Magus, we're just not ready to beat. Maybe I should just have like a couple of Dismembers in the sideboard because like I haven't played Legacy in a minute. Like last time that I played Legacy, this card was wow, I have Carpet though. Like I could have just done some stuff that way. So I guess I can still draw a basic. And if my opponent, assuming my opponent has nothing, right? I can draw basic Forest into Carpet, into Zenith, into Jesus. Don't mill me, opponent. Come on. Dude. I gotta love it. Yeah, I'm gonna copy my... Oh, no, this doesn't work anymore. Oh, that's so sad. I remember back in the day, you could copy your opponent's basics with Vesuva under a Blood Moon. I'm dating myself a little bit here. So... The right play is to do nothing, by the way. Is to just, like, minus on yourself, I guess, worst case scenario. I guess, they play Snapcaster Mage. They should definitely be minusing on themselves. So one of my basics is gone. Now Expedition Map is not a good draw either. Also Zenith is bad now. Battleman. Yeah, so... Magus. It's strong. It's strong against this deck. Nice. Very nice. Ah, man. Really? Magus of the Moon. Man, the basic's still there. As long as there's a basic that I can draw, I'm technically not dead. Attack for 3. Now I just don't have the time, right? Because my plan was to go basic into Carpet, into Zenith for Dryad, then Udo, right? But now Carpet 3. I guess technically I can. So I guess I should have played Snapcaster or Sleep Below. All right, sweet. See you next round. Round number 3, sitting pretty at 1-1. This hand is terrible. Let's ship it. This hand is much better, so let's keep this one. Keep bottom Bojukapog. Yeah, I think so. In the blind, I think it's better to bottom Bojukapog. Obviously, my opponent could go turn 1 into him, and we're gonna feel silly. But Shatter Skull. Okay. So now I kind of don't want to play this Boseiju. This is weird. We're gonna go Exploration into Saga, and Boseiju can blow up this. What's my opponent doing over there? Ancient Tomb. Wow, alright. Turn 2 Blood Moon is what's up, I guess. Sure. Here's a Dry Diver. Here we go. Can't play the Boseiju because I need to load the moon, and I can't play the Saga because it just gets destroyed, so cool. The mono red deck is probably a bad matchup, I would guess. I would guess in the blind that the mono red prison deck that tries to Blood Moon you on turn 1 is a bad matchup for our lands. Our cool lands deck. Hopefully they go like Chalice or something irrelevant. Really? Well, that's aggressive. Second Blood Moon, Legion Warghost. Okay, that makes sense now. My opponent's just trying to limit my outs. I mean, untap land? I guess any land will do. So we're gonna play Boseiju, we're gonna blow up Blood Moon, and then we're gonna play Ursa Saga. And this makes a 1-1 this turn, which can like chomp one of these dudes. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I think we're gonna try to find, if we find a bounce land plus Amulet, and we can try to find whichever piece we're missing out of those two, then we can potentially Udo and do a bunch of things. Fireflux Squad. This card I've seen a bunch of times, never actually read what it does. Whenever it attacks, you may extend or target a thing you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a creature card, put it into the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library. So they just turn their tokens into like more war bosses thing. So it's just a way to spiral even harder. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Alright. Next. So Needle's probably fine against mono red, and Forces are good against mono red. Bog doesn't do anything. Knuckles probably fine. Durance not great. Dryad seems great. Amulet's probably a little bit medium. And ramming up. Let's go with this. Okay, what do we got here? Pretty bad hand, huh? Chip it. This one has a basic. I like that. Let's keep this one. I think I'm gonna bottom Endurance. So we can go turn 1 Snow Forest into Amulet, I think. Because I can Zenith for either Dryad or Udo if I want to. But yeah, I think Vesuva in my own basic is going to be important. My opponent could have turn 1 Blood Moon and then nothing's going to matter. But alright, opponent moves to 4. They move to 4. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Amulet instead of going for Dryad Ever Mountain. Second Amulet. Okay, well. Play Amulet. And I guess now I have to play this out. And next turn I can Vesuva, copy the basic, interstab, so I get 4 mana, I can go get a Dryad, or... I'm probably gonna go get a World. I assume they have Bloodmoon or Magus or something. Magus, yeah. Exploration. Gonna need 1 more land. 3 mana to Fable of the Mirror. So take 2 land. Any land does it. Any land. And we're gonna go get a Dryad of Deletion Grove. Man, we could have 2 basics here. I mean, I still, at the moment of making the play, I think it was the right play, but at the same time, it stinks. They had the turn 2 Magus. They moved to 4 for it. Makes sense that they would have it if they're mulligan, so they don't discard anything. Well, that's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. Yep, of course. Here comes the Fury. Down goes my Dryad. Now what? What else do you got? Another Moon effect. All right. Here's another Dryad. Is this one gonna be a little bit better? Can you please not have it? Pretty please. I mean, I'm blocked. My opponent could have like Bone Crusher or whatever, but like I can't have my opponent be able to regain their mana all the time. So yeah, Bone Crusher. Like I'm like between a rock and a hard place, right? I don't think anything I do really matters at all. I'm gonna hold on to that, I think. So right now the Reflection of Kiki doesn't do anything. But I can hold on to this because if I draw exactly a basic, and again, like super punished by not copying the basic, but if I find a basic or expedition map, this Visage is going to allow me to cast the Prime Time, and then my opponent's going to have much harder trouble dealing with a 4/4 with a 6/6. That doesn't cast Primeval Titan though. Alright, just got Bloodbound. Round number 4, and we are paired against the legend himself, Louis CBR. This hand doesn't look very good. If we find an untapped green source, that means I get to turn 1 Dryad Arbor. It still feels pretty slow. This is so much better and funny. Let's keep this bottom expedition map on exploration. Bounce land. Say go. He goes turn 1 DRC, which is obviously terrifying because there's very likely a wasteland in my future. I think I just have to set up for a turn 3 Titan here. So we're just gonna do this. We're not gonna play this Saga. Let's say go. Wasteland would be bad for me. He brainstorms. I guess Wasteland would suck, but it wouldn't be like the end of the world. Like we keep on playing, right? There it is. So there comes the Wasteland. Now we just keep on playing. Here we go, Saga into Bog, and we can still Titan. We can still Titan him next turn. So he ponders being involved. Good. So we're just gonna get to Prime Time. Love to see it. So play land, play this Cavern Giant, Field of the Dead, and what? I love this about Lewis. He's just like, yeah, you got me. He never fucks around. He's just like, yeah, I can't beat that. Like, why would I just play 3 more turns when I know that I'm just dead to this Primeval Titan? It's just like, yeah, sure, like, you got me. That's fine. Let's move on to the next one. I love that about him. He always does that. It's cool. I think people have a really big issue with knowing when to concede the game. Like a massive issue. So many times, like it was really funny to see in in paper events, right? Like in the NRG event that were happening like this weekend when I'm recording this, and like so many times where it's just like, yep, like you are 0% to win the game. Like I have no idea why we're still here, but we somehow are. Do we care for Dryad? Let's do 2 Dryad. I definitely want Raminap. Let's do 2 Dryad, 2 Udo, 4 Endurance. I do like Carpet of Flowers a lot here. He probably doesn't have any Wasteland is the only non-blue source that he has access to most likely. Well, this hand sucks. Well, this hand's much better. Keep this one. And I think I'm gonna, oddly enough, bottom the Primeval Titan here. I think we're kind of far away from casting it. We could also just bottom the Amulet. Yeah, like Saga finds me Amulet if I want to. Let's just bottom the Amulet, because if I find like a bounce land of this Once Upon, maybe we're looking Gucci. Being in iteration. So he's very clearly looking for lands over there. Or specifically Wasteland. Well, super punished now. Let's lead on Once Upon. We find Misty. Yeah, actually having access to a basic here is pretty nice. So basic forest. We're gonna attempt to resolve exploration. He probably dazes. He does. But the good thing is that if he dazes now, less likely that he has daze for this endurance. Just the big winner. Would love to find the Cavern of Souls. I'm probably gonna play Saga now. That's a 3/3. It's actually pretty nice. So let's go with that. So now we're gonna be able to endurance, or at least we can get wastelanded off endurance. Lightning Bolt. There's the Shockland. Tap. Gonna play. I think we play. But let's just play Saga actually. I don't think we can really get punished by anything there. So since he bolts here, I'm gonna put a stop on his upkeep. Vincent Bubble. So I think that he has a Murktide. Or I guess he's just trying to set up lethal, because a bolt kills me now. Do this. He has Force blue card. That's his last 2 cards. That's fine. We're dead. Yeah. It's mid. Just got delivered. Just got delivered hard. Okay, so we have an Uro. We have multiple Cavern of Souls. I think I actually keep this. Like, it's pretty awkward, but I really like this Bojuka Bog. I think this Bojuka Bog is going to buy me a reasonable amount of time. So let's go turn 1 Field of the Dead and say go. We're going to go turn 2 Cavern on Giant. It's DRC. We'd love to see like a green source. No green source. So Cavern on Giant and say... Kind of awkward that we're going to have to... Like, this Cavern doesn't cast Endurance, right? So I would have really liked to find an untapped blue source, untapped green source in that, or even a tapped green source. Probably not a bounce land. I wouldn't expose a bounce land to wasteland. Temple loss would be too much. But here, if he doesn't have wasteland, we can go. Never mind. There goes my Cavern. I think I'm gonna go for Saga. It delays my thing for a bit, but if he doesn't wasteland the Saga finds Amulet. And then this Growth Chamber is great. Yeah. So now we can... Like, I'm not going to play around the 3rd Wasteland, right? I paid my dues already, played around 2 Wastelands. If he has the 3rd one, I'll just pack it. Yeah, so he's looking for specifically Wasteland here, which makes sense. So he's been in anything that's not a Wasteland. Which I do think it's the correct... Because if he gets there, then the game probably ends. We still have Endurance, we still have Bojuka Bog, but like our mana just did not cooperate here. I mean, our mana was fine. It's just, double Wasteland is a lot. Delverino. Okay, so... I think I want to go... Cavern on Giant. Cast Uro. And we're going to bog my... So no Murktides. Delver not flipping there. It's a Sigh of Relief. Chain Lightning. Kind of aggressive. I'm not going to pay red to redirect it. No, thank you. Thanks, Moto, though. Basic Forest. If I go fetch land and my opponent counters, we're gonna get to flashback Udo. So let's go fetch land. And I think I want to upkeep. Yeah, so I think I want to upkeep. It's actually not. Let's just main phase. Lightning Bolt. But like now he bolts. So I think that I'm gonna wait for him to, put the stuff in the graveyard. Now I'm going to find my basic Endurance. He probably has Force plus blue card at this point. But maybe he doesn't. No, he does. Pitching Days. 1 card from getting back Udo. Down to 3. Oh, down to lethal. That's alright. GG's Lewis. No. Too many Wastelands. Too many Wastelands too quickly. Now, Carpet would have been great. Eventually finding a Carpet would have been great. Last round of this league, let's see if we can take those 50 PPs home. Probably not with this hand. This one's nicer. I think I went to bottom Tolaria West, and we're kind of looking for bounce land. I guess I shouldn't have done this because there's nothing Never mind, there is something I'm playing out on turn 1. I think I'm playing this out on turn 1. I may be wrong. Maybe I'm not supposed to play that on 1. Trop. Noble Heart. Am I about to get infected? Is that what's gonna happen right now? I just can't dodge it. It's not even the format where this deck is good. And I just can't dodge it. God damn it. Okay. This is so sad. This is so sad. Well, I guess I have to expedition map. I mean, I have to hope my opponent doesn't have it. And then I get expedition map here so that I can play Covenant Dryad now. I get expedition map so I can find Boseiju next turn. Yeah. Oh, I should have. Oh, that was a mistake. I should have played the tapped land because I'm not gonna have time for this to crack. And now I don't have an untapped land, so I can pay the 2 mana and Boseiju. So that was a misstep. Potentially game losing. Maybe I was losing the game anyways. Yeah, looks like I was gonna lose regardless. Yep, it's a Noble Heart. Am I dead here? No, I'm not. Okay. Okay. Don't mind if I do. So I can get Battlement. I can play Battlements now. And I think what I'm gonna do... This is the only Infect creature they have. So I think I'm just gonna... Vesuva... I'm just gonna do this right now. And we're gonna go get Boseiju. Because if my opponent untaps, they're gonna be able to activate and protect this. So I'm just going to do this right now. While my opponent can protect the Ink Moth. And I'm probably not gonna attack because my opponent could use a pump spell on the Noble Heart and then they kill my draw. And here we're just gonna have Vesuva, Cavern of Souls, and we're gonna name Giant. And now we could find Amulet, and then if we find any untapped, any land at all, ugh, that's not a land. Does that mean I lose? We find Amulet here, so I guess now we play a Raminap. Yeah, so the play is float green. We're gonna cast Raminap, and I'm assuming my opponent has nothing, right? Because I can't beat anything. So we're just gonna cast Raminap. Man, any land would have won the game because I can just find a fetch plus what's his name. So get 2 Sagas, and again, I'm assuming my opponent's got nothing because I can't beat anything, and we're just going to get Endurance here, or attempt to, but we're just gonna get dazed, I think. Flusterstorm. Okay. Well, now I think I'm attacking because if my opponent uses a pump spell defensively, that's good for me. But I died to any 1 pump spell, and any +4 pump spell just kills me. So I'm just gonna have 6, 5, 7, 8. Oh no, 6, 7. Yeah, 5, 6, 7 +3 is 10. Oh, we're gonna still had all these. Whew, look at that. Still had all these. So I guess that even if the Endurance would have resolved, Berserk gives Trample, so I would have died anyway. Okay, so Maze of It is good. Wasteland is good. Knuckles good. Forces are probably okay. Don't care for Udo. Raminap seems fine, but Jigabog sucks. I don't think I want Mindbreak Trap. Maybe Carpet is fine. Peating Needle. It's possible I should be bringing in Carpet here over Zenith. Over the Summoners Pack. I have not been a fan throughout this entire League of Little West Summoners Pack thing. So I think that was just an experiment that did not work out. Like, I probably need more basics. Like, the metagame is just so hostile. So this is a Mull to 6 because it has Dryad Arbor. Is this a good enough Mull to 6? Probably not. This is a much better Mull. Gonna bottom the Endurance. Keep bottom Endurance. Lead on Once Upon a Time. And then... yeah, opponent also moves to 6. What's this? Raminap Dryad. I think I'm gonna hold on to this Cavern of Souls. So if I go turn 1 Boseiju. Boseiju for Dryad. Dryad Arbor. Yeah, this is fine. So Boseiju for Dryad Arbor. Then turn 2 we get to Saga. Or we get to, if my opponent plays an Inkmoth, I get to Gruul Turf plus Boseiju. And I can do that at any point, which is pretty nice. So, Expedition map. Let's play Ursa Saga. I guess we may get blown out by Force of Vigor here. 1F6. But I can spit out some blockers, which is nice. Yeah, so scale up. They can also just have Berserk and I just lose. Yeah. Alright. I mean, I have to block. If it's Berserk, we'll lose regardless, but this at least beats the other ones. Yep. Lose to lose to Infect in Legacy. The freaking the what's the name? The curse follows me so close to Knuckling. But yeah. Just casually take our turn to death here. Alright, we did get our teeth kicked in pretty soundly. So a couple of things that I noticed since I actually played with this deck list. Number one, Magus of the Moon seems like it's a lot more popular right now for the same reasons that it's popular in Modern, just because Blood Moon as a card lines up a lot worse versus Boseiju specifically. And obviously we're playing Boseiges and Force of Vigors, but we have no answers to Magus of the Moon in the entire deck list. So losing to Magus of the Moon doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Like it feels expected even. So I do think that part is a little bit problematic. I don't know if I should be playing some amount of Dismembers in my sideboard. Could be pretty good against the Moon Stompy decks, style decks, which looks like it's fairly popular. I don't think I would bring Dismembers against Delver. That would certainly be an interesting idea. But yeah, like it felt fairly creature heavy, which I was surprised. Like I feel like Dismember would not be the worst sideboard card to have access to, right? Like we played against 8-cast. 8-cast has like Sai, Emry, stuff like that. We played against we played against Infect, which obviously would have been great, but you know, that's not really a real Legacy deck, I don't think. So it's interesting. It's interesting how the meta feels like it has pivoted a little bit more towards creatures as opposed to other forms of forms of hate. Even like Hull Breacher. So even the control decks are playing some amount of creatures. So maybe Dismember is just worth it. The Summoner's Pact Total West thingy, I just didn't feel like it was. Like it just felt like basically never. We never had the time to do it. Even when we were playing against the control deck, it just felt like we didn't need that. So I don't think that's where we want to be. And like we drew Tulare West a couple of times. It was awful every time as expected. So not too much to do there. Maybe actually playing some more higher number of basics. Maybe cutting the T-West allows me to play Wasteland in the main deck, which could be interesting. Gives me out to certain cards. So that's a potential change to make there. Besides that, maybe 4 endurances is too many. I feel like it makes sense for what I wanted to do, and this is the best card at that job, which is, you know, like keeping Delver in check, tagging the graveyard combo decks and stuff like that. So I feel like 4 copies of endurance is reasonable. Like I don't think I want to be cutting that. Maybe we should just, if we wanted to add these members, we should just like ignore the combo matchup, just accept that we have a loss in the combo matchup, and just move on with our lives. So that's another potential approach to doing there. Kind of unfortunate that we didn't really play against many control decks. Like that's where this deck sort of thrives, right? Like when we're playing against any sort of like slower-ish control decks, like Jeskai, Blue White, or whatnot. That's what we want. Like we did get paired against the other deck, but then we got back to basics, and then we lost to like a random hit at Tsugu. But yeah, deck did not feel particularly good, which doesn't surprise me too much. But you know, it's a matter of hitting the proper pairings. It did look good. Like every time I play with this deck against 8-cast, I felt like I'm pretty solidly far ahead. So I assume that we have a pretty good 8-cast matchup. So if that's a deck that you expect to face a lot, this could be a reasonable choice. I don't know. This is fun though, so I probably play a league or two every now and then. and I'm obviously going to post them to YouTube because I think that it's a good time. But yeah, that did not go pretty well. The classic 1-0 into 1 and 4, but that's life sometimes, and that certainly is Legacy. If you enjoy the content though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video, folks. Take care, and bye bye.